I am from How To Taxes. I'm a CPA and I'm here to help you fill out your Form 1040. This video will be especially helpful if you have a child, as we will be going through the credit for child care expenses, the child tax credit, and the additional child tax credit. In the example for this video, you have a filing status of married filing jointly and a 5-year-old son. This video will still be helpful if you have a different filing status. Check your filing status box at the top of the form. Put your name, your spouse's name, your address, and your social security numbers on the form. Under the dependent section, put your son's first and last name, his social security number, that his relationship to you is a son, and check the box if he qualifies for the child tax credit as he is under the age of 17. This is still page 1 of Form 1040. It is the bottom portion of the form. On line 1, put your wages. You can find these in box 1 of Form W2. In the example for this video, the taxpayer earned $24,400 and the spouse $24,000. Add the two amounts together for $48,400 on line 1. I am not going to include an example of the Form W2 or take you line by line through the 1040 as I have done this in another video. I will attach the link for anyone who is interested. Since you have no other income, line 7B will be $48,400. Line 8B will be the same as you had no adjustments to income. This is your adjusted gross income. On line 9, put the larger of your itemized deductions or your standard deduction. You can find your standard deduction in the box to the left based on your filing status. Since you are married filing jointly, it will be $24,400. Carry that amount to line 11A and calculate your taxable income on line 11B. This is $24,000. This is page 2 of the Form 1040. On line 12A, calculate your tax. You can find the tax rate schedules beginning on page 62 of the Form 1040 instructions. In the example for this video, your tax will be $24.95. Again, I'm not going to include the calculation for the tax as I have another video that does this, and I will attach the link for your reference. As you have no other taxes, 12B will be $24.95. The first credit we will calculate is the credit for child care expenses. This is done on Form 2441. At the top of the form, put your names and the social security number of the taxpayer. You do not put both social security numbers on the form. In the example for this video, you took your son to a child care provider's home. Put their name and address on line 1. In box C, if they have an EIN, put that, otherwise put their social security number. Depending on how they structured their business will determine on whether they have an EIN. In box D, put the amount that you paid. In this example, it is $3,500. In part 2, put the qualifying person who is your son. Put his name, social security number, and the qualifying expenses, which are limited to $3,000. This is still Form 2441. This is the bottom portion of the form. On line 3, put the expenses, which are $3,000. On line 4, the earned income of the taxpayer, which is $24,400. On line 5, the earned income of the spouse, which is $24,000. On line 6, put the smallest of line 3, 4, or 5, which is $3,000. On line 7, put your adjusted gross income, and on line 8, the decimal from the table, which is 20% because your adjusted gross income is greater than $43,000. Take the 20% times the amount on line 6 to arrive at a possible credit of $600 on line 9. On line 10, you have to calculate your credit limit, and you can find the worksheet in the instructions for the 2441. Basically, it is your tax less any credit for foreign income. Since you do not have any foreign income, your tax liability limit will be $2,495, and since this is greater than $600, your credit will be $600. Carry the credit to Schedule 3, line 2, and down to line 7. Then carry this over to the calculation for line 13B on page 2 of the Form 1040. But first we need to calculate your child tax credit. The child tax credit is calculated from a schedule on page 35 of the Form 1040 instructions. I have provided the schedule here. On line 1, put $2,000 as you have one qualifying child. Line 2 will be blank as you don't have any other dependents. Line 3 will be $2,000. Line 4 is your adjusted gross income. Line 5, put $400,000 as it instructs. Line 6 will be blank as $48,400 is less than $400,000, and line 7 will be 0. This will leave you with a possible credit of $2,000. Again, this is limited by your tax liability. So on line 9, put your tax liability of $2,495. On line 10, the $600 of credit that we've already calculated. Subtract that from $2,495 to come up with a child tax credit of $1,895. Carry the $1,895 to line 13A of page 2 of Form 1040. Add the $600 from the credit for child care expenses to arrive at total credits of $2,495. Since your tax is $2,495, your total tax liability will be 0. On line 17, place your federal income tax withholding. You can find this in box 2 of your Form W-2. Add the two amounts together, and in this example it is $1,500. Since you did not use the total amount of your child tax credit of $2,000, the IRS allows you to calculate an additional child tax credit on Schedule 8812. On line 1, put the amount of the possible child tax credit of $2,000. On line 2, the amount that you claimed of $1,895, and the difference on line 3, which is $105. On line 4, put $1,400 as they instruct. On line 5, put the smaller of the two, which is $105. On line 6A, put your earned income, which is $48,400. Subtract $2,500 from that to arrive at $45,900 on line 7. Multiply that by 15% to arrive at $6,885 on line 8. Since that is greater than the amount of the possible additional child tax credit of $105, your credit is $105 on line 15. Carry that amount over to line 18B and 18E on page 2 of the Form 1040. Even though you did not pay this amount in, since it is a refundable credit, the IRS allows you to get this as a refund. So add this amount to your withholding amount on line 17 of $1,500 to arrive at total payments of $1,605 on line 19. Since you had no tax, this will be your overpayment on line 20 and your refund on line 21A. If you want this directly deposited into your bank account, check the type of account that you have on line 21C and write down your routing and account number. If you don't want it directly deposited into your account, you can cross off the routing and account number lines and the IRS will send you a check directly. Note that there's a box to the left of line 21A. You would only check this if you wanted your refund deposited into more than one account. Make sure to sign, date, and put your occupations on the form. I hope this video was helpful. I am from How To Taxes. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for future tax videos and tips.